My name is Mia. I am 29 years old. I believed in love. I believed in marriage. I believed in my husband. But now, I am not so sure. When I met Alex, I was 25. I worked as a nurse in a small hospital. My life was quiet. I lived in a small apartment. I worked, I cooked, I read books. I didn't go out much. I didn't have many friends. Then one day, I met Alex at a coffee shop. I was waiting in line. He stood behind me and smiled. He said, "Cold day, isn't it?" I smiled back. We talked while waiting. He said he liked the same kind of coffee as me. That made me smile more. After that day, he came to the coffee shop again. We talked again. Then again. After 1 week, he asked for my phone number. I gave it to him. He started texting me. Every morning he said, "Good morning." Every night he said, "Sleep well." He asked how my day was. He listened to me. He said I was special. I started to feel happy again. I waited for his texts. I waited for his calls. He made me laugh. He made me feel beautiful. After 2 months, we were a couple. He brought me flowers. He took me to dinner. He opened doors for me. He said sweet things. He made me feel loved. He met my parents. My mother said, "He's very polite." My father said, "He looks serious, but kind." After 6 months, he asked me to marry him. He gave me a small silver ring. It wasn't big, but it was beautiful. I said yes. We had a small wedding, just family and close friends. He looked at me and said, "I will love you forever." I believed him. The first year of marriage was good. We moved into a small apartment with a balcony. I planted flowers there. He helped me set up the kitchen. We chose curtains together. We laughed a lot. We watched movies on the sofa. We cooked together. We held hands while walking to the market. He kissed my forehead every morning before work. I felt safe. I felt loved. But slowly, things started to change. He stopped talking to me in the evenings. He stayed quiet during dinner. He looked at his phone all the time. When I asked, "Is something wrong?" he said, "No, just tired." He stopped saying, "Good morning." He stopped asking about my day. He came home late, sometimes after midnight. He never told me why. One day, I made his favorite dinner, chicken with lemon and rice. I lit a candle. I wore the dress he liked. He walked in and said, "Why did you cook all this?" "I'm not hungry," I said. "But I made it for you." He said, "You didn't ask if I wanted it." Then he sat on the sofa and looked at his phone. My heart felt heavy. I ate alone that night. Another day, I found a receipt in his pocket. It was from a restaurant, a place we never went to. The date was 2 days ago. The time was 9:45 p.m. That night he told me he was working late. I asked him, "Where were you on Wednesday night?" He said, "At work." I showed him the receipt. He looked at it and said, "It was with coworkers. Just dinner." I said, "Why didn't you tell me?" He said, "You always ask too many questions." He didn't say sorry. He didn't hold my hand. He just went into the bedroom. That night, I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. I felt cold inside. Was he lying? Was he hiding something? Or was I just imagining things? The next few weeks were worse. He changed his phone password. He took his phone everywhere, even to the bathroom. He smiled at messages, but never at me. I started to feel invisible. One day, I came home early. I wasn't feeling well. I had a headache. When I opened the door, I heard his voice on the balcony. He was on the phone. He said, "She has no idea. I told her I'm staying late at work." My heart dropped. My legs felt weak. I stood there, frozen. Then I walked to the kitchen and made tea, pretending I didn't hear anything. He came in and smiled. He said, "Hey, you're home early." I said, "Yes." I wasn't feeling well. He kissed my forehead, just like he used to. But now it felt different. It didn't feel warm. It felt like a lie. That night I cried in the bathroom. I turned on the water so he wouldn't hear. I looked in the mirror. My eyes were red. My face looked tired. I didn't know who I was anymore. Where was the man I married? Where was the kind smile? The sweet voice? The love? I started writing in a small notebook. I didn't want to forget how I felt. One page said, "He is next to me, but I feel alone." Another page said, "He kisses me, but I feel nothing." One day my friend Clara invited me for coffee. We hadn't talked in a while. She looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" I smiled. "I'm fine." She looked at me harder. "You don't look fine." I shook my head. I couldn't lie anymore. I said, "I think Alex is hiding something." She reached out and touched my hand. "You don't deserve that, Mia." Her words stayed with me. That night I asked Alex, "Do you still love me?" He looked up from his phone. "What kind of question is that?" I said, "You don't talk to me. You don't look at me. I feel like a stranger in this house." He sighed. "You're too emotional. Everything is fine. Stop overthinking." Then he left the room. But everything was not fine. And I knew it. One day, I followed him. I told him I was working late. But really, I left work early. I watched him from across the street. He entered a small restaurant. He wasn't alone. A woman was with him. She smiled at him. He smiled back. They sat close. He touched her hand. She laughed. My heart broke into 1,000 pieces. I walked away before he saw me. My hands were shaking. My eyes were full of tears. I went home and sat in the dark. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just sat there, quiet. When he came home that night, I was still sitting. He looked at me. "Why are you sitting in the dark?" Said, "Did you have a good dinner?" He paused. "What do you mean?" Said, "Was she pretty?" He didn't answer. And in that silence, I finally knew the man standing in front of me, he was not the man I married. Before I share the rest of my story, I want to ask you something. Where are you listening from? It gives me strength to know someone is hearing my words, someone who understands me. Please tell me in the comments. I would really love to know. He stood in the doorway, looking at me. His face didn't change, not even a flicker of guilt. I waited for him to speak, but he said nothing. So I stood up. I walked past him and said, "I saw you." He followed me into the kitchen. "Saw me where?" "In the restaurant," I said. "With her." He looked away. He rubbed the back of his neck. "You said you were at work," I continued. "You looked very comfortable with her." "She's just a friend," he said. I laughed. It was a cold, sharp laugh. "You held her hand, Alex." "She's going through a hard time," he said. I was comforting her. "Do you hold hands with every woman who's sad?" I asked. He sighed. "You're being dramatic again." My voice shook, but I didn't back down. "Do you love her?" He didn't answer. I asked again, "Do you love her, Alex?" He sat down at the table. He looked tired, but I didn't feel sorry for him. "I don't know," he said finally. "It just happened." I felt something heavy in my chest, like my heart was falling slowly, breaking with each second. "And what about me?" I asked. "What am I to you now?" He looked at me, finally. "I didn't plan this, Mia." "That's not an answer," I said. "Do you want to be with me or with her?" He stayed silent. That silence hurt more than anything he could have said. I turned around and walked to the bedroom. I sat on the bed, staring at the wall. My hands were shaking. My legs felt weak. He didn't follow me. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on my side of the bed. He stayed on the sofa. I could hear him turning, moving, not sleeping either. The next morning, I made tea for myself. Just one cup. I didn't ask if he wanted any. He walked in. His hair was messy. His eyes were tired. I didn't speak. He sat down and said, "I didn't mean to hurt you." I looked at him. "But you did." He nodded. "I know." I waited. He said, "I don't know what I want. I feel lost." I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the cup across the room. But I didn't. I said, "I am not your practice ground, Alex. I am your wife." "I know," he said quietly. "Then act like it," I said, "or let me go." He looked at me, but he didn't answer. That day, I went to work like usual. I helped people. I smiled. I said polite words. But inside, I felt like I was falling apart. When I came home, he was there. Dinner was on the table. Pasta and bread. A candle. Like he was trying. I sat down. We ate in silence. After a while, he said, "Do you still love me?" I looked at him. "I don't know. I used to. But I don't recognize you anymore." He looked down. "You broke something," I said. "And I don't know if it can be fixed." He said, "I miss us." I wanted to cry, but I didn't. "You should have thought about that before holding her hand." He didn't speak again. The next few days were strange. We lived in the same space, but it felt cold, quiet. We talked about small things, groceries, laundry, bills, but never about us. Then one night he asked, "Can we try again?" I looked at him. "Try what?" He said, "To fix this. I'll stop seeing her. I'll do better." I asked, "Why now?" He said, "Because I saw your face that night. I've never seen you look at me like that. It scared me." "You should have been scared of losing me long ago," I said. "I know," he said. "But I was stupid." I looked at him. He looked serious. He looked honest. But I didn't know if I could believe him anymore. "Actions, not words," I said. "Show me. If you really want this, show me." He nodded. He deleted her number. I saw it. He changed his routine. He came home early. He looked at me when we talked. He put down his phone. For a while, I watched. I didn't say much. I was tired. I didn't want to hope and break again. One evening we sat on the balcony. The sun was low. The sky was soft pink. He said, "I miss sitting here with you." I looked at the flowers. They were dry. I hadn't watered them in weeks. I said, "I used to love this place." He was quiet. Then he said, "Let's fix it together." We didn't say anything else. But the next day, he bought new soil. We planted new flowers. We worked side by side. It felt like old times. For a moment. Then I looked at him. Really looked. And I realized something. I missed the way I used to feel. Safe. Wanted. Loved. But now, even with him next to me, I didn't feel that anymore. One night we were in bed. He turned to me and said, "Do you think you'll ever trust me again?" I looked at the ceiling. "I don't know," I said. "Trust doesn't come back just because someone says sorry." He turned away. I closed my eyes, but sleep didn't come. He was trying now. But why only after everything broke? Why not before? I thought about leaving. I thought about packing a bag and going back to my parents. but part of me still hoped something could change. A week later, I saw a message on his phone. It was from her. It said, "Just thinking of you." He hadn't replied, but he hadn't blocked her either. That night, I didn't say anything. I just watched him eat dinner. He talked about work. He talked about the neighbor's dog, but I didn't hear a word. My heart was screaming inside. After dinner, I said, "You said you stopped talking to her." He looked confused. "I did." "Then why is she still texting you?" I asked. His face changed. I stood up. "You're not serious, Alex. You're pretending. You don't want to change." "I didn't reply," he said. "I ignored it." I shouted, "Then why didn't you block her?" He didn't answer. "I gave you another chance," I said, "and you gave me another lie." He reached out. "Mia, please." I stepped back. "No more, Alex," I said. "I don't believe you anymore." He was quiet. For once, he had nothing to say. I packed a small bag that night. He sat on the sofa, holding his head in his hands. I walked to the door. He didn't stop me. As I stepped outside, the air felt cold, but it also felt clean. I didn't know where I was going next, but I knew I wasn't going back. I didn't look back as I closed the door behind me. I walked to the end of the street with my small bag. My heart was heavy, but my steps felt strong. The cold night air touched my skin. It was the first time in months I felt awake. I took the bus to my parents' house. My mom opened the door. Her eyes widened when she saw me. "Mia, what happened?" I couldn't speak right away. She pulled me inside and held me. Her hug was warm. I hadn't felt that kind of safety in a long time. My father came out of the living room. He looked at me, then at the bag. "I left," I said. He didn't ask questions. He just nodded slowly and said, "Your room is ready." That night, I slept in my old bed. The pillow smelled like clean laundry. I lay on my side and closed my eyes. I didn't cry. I just breathed. Slowly, deeply. The next morning, my mom made pancakes. She always made them when I was sad as a child. She placed a plate in front of me and sat across the table. "I don't want to talk about it," I said softly. She nodded. "Okay." We ate in silence, but it didn't feel uncomfortable. It felt kind. That afternoon, I went for a walk around the neighborhood. Some people smiled at me, recognizing me. I smiled back, but it was a quiet smile. Later, I sat on the porch. My mom joined me. "Are you going to stay here for a while?" she asked. "I don't know," I said. "I just need space." "You can stay as long as you need," she said. I leaned my head on her shoulder. "Thank you." In the evening, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Alex. "Please talk to me." I didn't reply. 10 minutes later, another one. "I'm sorry. Please come home." Still, I said nothing. Then he called. I stared at the screen. My thumb hovered over the green button. Then I let it ring. The next day, he sent another message. "I'll wait. I'll do anything." He was trying again, just like before. But I didn't feel anything when I read his words. Not sadness, not anger, just emptiness. I put the phone away. 1 week passed. Then 2. I got a temporary job at a local clinic. The work helped. I focused on patients, not pain. I smiled again. Not big smiles, but real ones. One afternoon, I was walking home from the clinic when I saw someone sitting on the steps of my parents' house. It was Alex. He stood up when he saw me. "Mia," he said, "can we talk?" I walked up slowly. I didn't open the gate. "I don't know what more there is to say," I said. "I messed up," he said. "I know that." I didn't speak. "I thought I could fix it," he continued, "but I kept breaking it more. I was selfish." "Why did you lie again?" I asked. "You promised." "I was afraid," he said. "Afraid to lose both of you." "You already lost me," I said. "The night you didn't block her." He lowered his head. "I don't expect you to forgive me." "Then why are you here?" I asked. "I just needed to say I'm sorry," he said. "Truly. I don't want to keep hurting you." I looked at him. He didn't look proud anymore. He looked like a man who finally understood what he broke. I said, "I loved you. I trusted you. I married you." "I know," he said. "And I ruined that." We stood there in silence for a moment. He said, "If you ever want to come back, I'll be better." I looked him in the eyes. "I'm not coming back, Alex." He nodded, slowly. "Okay." He didn't beg. He didn't cry. He just looked at me for a second longer, then turned and walked away. And I let him go. That evening, my mom sat with me on the couch. "Was that him?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "Are you okay?" I thought about it. Then I said, "Yes, I think I am." 3 months passed. I moved into a small apartment across town. It had big windows and soft yellow walls. I planted flowers on the balcony again. I worked at the clinic. I met new people. I started laughing more. Clara came over one Saturday. She brought chocolate cake. We sat on the floor, talking like old times. "I'm proud of you," she said. I smiled. "I'm proud of me too." One evening, I walked to the market. I saw a couple holding hands, laughing. For a moment, I felt a small ache. Then I kept walking. I wasn't ready for love again, but I wasn't afraid of it anymore. I had learned something important. Love should not hurt. Love should not lie. And if someone truly loves you, you won't have to ask them to choose.